Welcome to Glenwood. This house was built in 1852. All of the furnishings in the house belong to one of the three families that occupied it, either the Lately family, the Summers family, or the Collier family. The building materials for the house came all from the property here. It was a plantation of 366 acres. The bricks were fired 2 blocks down west of here. The wood for the floors, the wood for the doors, all came from the forests that were part of the 366 acres.
In coming to learn about the mission of the Glenwood Foundation, we established a partnership, an official partnership between the Graduate Humanities Program at Marshall University, the History Program at West Virginia State, and the Glenwood Foundation as an official partnership between the three institutions called the Center for Scholarship in Humanities. And through that center, we are able to augment the mission of the Glenwood Foundation, doing a number of different programming events, including involving both undergraduates and graduate students in the research of the estate, and which includes the history of the slave population that was in Charleston and at the house.
They would have been called gentlemen farmers in those days. And the 1860 slave census reveals how many slaves each of these farms and farmers owned and had working on their property. Patrick, 22, with 7 houses to house their slaves. That's also included in the slave census. Little page 9, Gillison, he also was interested in the salt industry, worked in the salt industry. If you study much about salt making here in the Kanawha Valley, you'll run into a very interesting phenomenon that occurs. A lot of slave owners in this area leased slaves to work in the salt industry for part of the year. And then a lot of the slaves that were leased to work the salt industry were owned by slave owners outside the valley in the Valley of Virginia or in eastern Virginia. And so there was a lot of movement of slaves from the eastern part of Virginia to the Kanawha Valley. So it's kind of hard to get definite figures on a lot of these folks. That's probably why Gillison owned 59 slaves with 2 other individuals. My guess is they were probably slave owners. That's the only information that's given in the census. Were salt makers. But that's a substantial operation, of course. Summers had 14 enslaved African Americans here. Carr had 21 for a grand total of between 72 and 131 enslaved African Americans living and working here on the west side.
But I'm going to read you what it says from my transcript, okay? We have this day hired of Mrs. Ann Summers, her yellow man, Henry, for the present year, to be employed as a cooper, and only at his trade as a cooper, except in a special emergency, it may become necessary for short periods to employ him otherwise. We engage and bind ourselves to treat him well, to furnish him with 2 suits of summer clothing and a good warm suit of winter clothing, including shirts, shoes, stockings, hat, and blanket, and to return him as clothed at Christmas, there's an illegible word, when the hiring will expire. We further oblige ourselves to pay his wages as following: $65 on the 1st of July next, and a like sum on the 1st of January next, making in all $130. Signed this 24th of January, 1837.